She only needed 5 minutes. 5 quiet minutes to fill her tank, get back on the highway, and make it home before her 8-year-old son fell asleep in the back seat. But sometimes, 5 minutes is all it takes for everything to go wrong. It was just outside Kingston, Ontario, the kind of small gas station that sits between long stretches of highway and farmland. The sky was turning that deep orange Canadian sunset that makes everything look peaceful, almost cinematic. Sarah pulled up to pump number 4, her old Honda rattling slightly as she turned off the engine. She checked her phone, $42 left in her bank account until Friday. She sighed, calculating how much gas she could afford while still buying milk and bread. Her son, Liam, was half asleep in the back seat, clutching his stuffed moose. "Mom, are we home?" he mumbled. "Almost, buddy," she whispered, forcing a smile. "Just getting some gas." Sarah stepped out into the cool evening air, wrapping her thin jacket tighter around herself. Being a single mother in Canada wasn't the nightmare some people imagined, but it wasn't easy either. After her divorce 2 years ago, she had taken 2 part-time jobs, one at a grocery store, one cleaning offices at night. She was strong. She had to be. She had just inserted her card when she heard the first laugh. It was loud, mocking. 3 young men leaned against a lifted pickup truck parked nearby. They couldn't have been older than their mid-20s. One of them nudged the other, nodding in her direction. Another whistled. "Hey sweetheart," one called out. "Need help with that? Looks heavy." Sarah ignored them, staring at the screen as it processed her payment. Her hands trembled slightly, but she told herself not to react. If she didn't respond, they'd lose interest. They didn't. "Single mom vibes," another one said loudly, glancing at the back seat. "Bet she can't even afford to fill it up." Her cheeks burned. She hated how quickly shame could creep in, even when she knew she had nothing to be ashamed of. She worked harder than anyone she knew. "Just get in the car, Mom," Liam's small voice called out, fear now fully awake in his tone. The men started walking closer. One circled around her car, peering into the back window. "Cute kid," he said, but there was something cold in his voice. "You shouldn't be out alone at night." Sarah's heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears. She scanned the lot. The station clerk was inside behind thick glass, staring down at his phone. No one else was around. "Please just leave us alone," she said quietly, trying to keep her voice steady. They laughed again. "Relax, we're just talking." But they weren't just talking. They were crowding her, closing in. One stood between her and the pump. Another leaned on her car door. She could see Liam's frightened eyes through the window. And then she heard it. The low, distant rumble of engines. At first she thought it was a transport truck on the highway. But the sound grew louder. Deeper. Closer. The kind of sound that vibrates through your chest before you even see it. The 3 men turned their heads. From the road, a line of motorcycles rolled into the gas station lot, at least 8 of them. Big touring bikes, chrome gleaming under the fading sunlight. The riders wore leather jackets with patches stitched on the back. Not flashy, not chaotic, just solid, united. They parked slowly, deliberately, engines idling for a moment before cutting off almost in unison. Silence fell. One of the bikers, a tall man with a gray beard and kind eyes, removed his helmet. He looked at Sarah first. Not the men. Her. "Everything okay here?" he asked calmly. The 3 young men shifted uncomfortably. "We're just talking," one muttered. Another biker, a woman this time, stepped off her bike and walked towards Sarah's car. She positioned herself casually near Liam's window, giving him a reassuring smile. "Hey buddy," she said gently. "Cool moose." Liam's tiny face softened just a little. The bearded biker took a step closer to the men. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "She asked you to leave her alone." No one answered. The leader nodded slowly. "Then you should probably respect that." Something changed in the air. It wasn't aggression. It was presence. Strength without chaos. 8 riders stood there, calm but unmoving. A silent wall. The young men looked at each other. Suddenly their confidence didn't seem so loud. One mumbled something about, "Not worth it," and backed away. Within seconds, they were climbing into their truck. The engine roared to life, and they sped out of the lot far faster than they had arrived. Sarah hadn't realized she was holding her breath until it came out in a shaky exhale. The bearded biker turned back to her. "You okay?" She nodded, though tears now blurred her vision. "Thank you," she whispered. "I didn't know what to do." "You did fine," he said softly. "You stood your ground." The woman biker leaned closer to Liam's window again. "You take care of your mom, okay?" Liam nodded seriously. "Yes, ma'am." The group didn't linger long. One of them finished fueling. Another grabbed coffee from inside. Before leaving, the bearded man handed Sarah a small card. It was for a local riding club based out of Ottawa. On the back, he had written a number. "If you ever feel unsafe again around here, call. We do charity rides and community watches. No one should feel alone at a gas station." Sarah looked at the line of motorcycles as they prepared to leave. They weren't intimidating now, they were something else entirely. Engines roared back to life, and one by one, they rolled out onto the highway, disappearing into the Canadian dusk. When the lot was quiet again, Sarah climbed back into her car. Liam leaned forward from the back seat. "Mom, yeah, those were like superheroes." She let out a small laugh through her tears. "Yeah, buddy, I guess they were." As she drove home under the wide Ontario sky, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Not fear, not shame, but community. In a world where headlines often tell us people don't care, that everyone looks away, that you're on your own, sometimes a group of strangers reminds you that kindness still rides the highways. That strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just shows up. And if you've ever felt small, alone, or outnumbered, remember this: it only takes a few good people willing to stand beside you to change everything. Because heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes, they wear leather and ride together.